The nervous system. Imagine you're embarking on a journey through the vast, bustling city that is the nervous system. As we navigate this complex landscape, let's chat about the structures, processes, and divisions that make up this network, which is responsible for everything from your heart racing before an exam to the memory of your first bicycle ride. Our first stop is at the neuron, the city's messenger. Each part of this cell has a job. Dendrites reach out like tree branches to receive messages from other neurons. The cell body serves as the central office, where all the neurons' operations are managed. Then there's the axon, a long roadway that transmits messages away from the cell body. At the end of this road lies the synaptic terminal, which could be likened to a delivery dock, where messages are packaged and sent off to the next neuron. In this city, messages are not whispered or shouted. They are zapped around as electrical charges. A neuron at rest holds a charge, ready to fire when the moment comes. This firing, known as an action potential, is a surge of electrical activity that travels the length of the axon to the synaptic terminal. Depending on the signals received, a neuron can either be nudged closer to firing or be inhibited. These signals are like the city's traffic lights, directing the flow of neural traffic. At the synaptic terminal, the electrical message is converted into a chemical one, with neurotransmitters acting as the couriers, carrying the message across the synaptic gap to the next neuron. This process ensures that the message is passed along with fidelity, much like a baton in a relay race. Neural pathways are like the highways of our nervous system, with each cellular component ensuring that messages are swiftly and accurately delivered. Messages travel from dendrites, through the cell body, along the axon, to the synaptic terminal, ensuring that every sensation, thought, or movement is communicated effectively. The nervous system codes the nature and intensity of every stimulus in a form we can understand. It's like a Morse code, where different patterns and frequencies of electrical impulses communicate various sensory inputs. Our nervous system has several neighborhoods. The central nervous system is the downtown core, consisting of the brain and spinal cord. The peripheral nervous system acts like the suburbs, relaying information to and from the central core. Within this peripheral region, we have the somatic system, which controls voluntary movements, and the autonomic system, which regulates involuntary functions. The autonomic system itself has two contrasting districts: the sympathetic system, which acts like a city's emergency response, preparing the body for action, and the parasympathetic system, which works like the maintenance crew, calming the body down and managing energy. Within the central nervous system, the brain and spinal cord are like the main administrative buildings, each region with its own department, handling tasks from processing sensory information to coordinating muscle movement. The brain's two hemispheres might be twin cities, but each has its own specializations. The left hemisphere is analytical and verbal, while the right hemisphere is more about creativity and spatial awareness. In the city of the nervous system, short-term memory is the bulletin board, holding on to the memos of the moment, while long-term memory is the library archive, keeping a record of the past. As we conclude our tour, we've peeked into the operations that keep the nervous system running, from the messaging system of neurons to the archives of memory. We've seen how the system responds to emergencies, like quickening your heartbeat when you're anxious, and how it interprets the world, such as the sensory information processed by the parietal lobe that lets you feel the warmth of the sun or the chill of the wind. And don't forget the neurons in your eyes, those retinal messengers that translate light into the images you see. This city is always alive, always communicating, and now you know a little more about how it all works. Action and support, the muscles and skeleton. Let's chat about the fascinating world of muscles and bones, shall we? Imagine your body as a complex machine, with the skeleton as the framework and muscles as the movers. It's like a crane where the bones are the metal beams, and the muscles are the cables pulling and pushing to lift objects. Starting with muscles, specifically the vertebrate skeletal muscles, they're not just strings pulling bones, they're more like intricate motors. Each muscle fiber is packed with myofibrils, which in turn are stacked with sarcomeres, the true stars of muscle contraction. Now, these sarcomeres have a little dance going on with proteins called actin and myosin. When your brain decides it's time to move, these proteins slide together, shortening the muscle, and voila, contraction. But how does your brain tell your muscles to move? Think of the nervous system as the body's electrical wiring. It sends signals, like flipping a switch, to your muscles, telling them when to contract and how hard. This system is so precise that it can determine whether to pick up a feather or a dumbbell. Muscles come in three main types: skeletal, cardiac, and smooth. The ones you flex at the gym? Those are skeletal muscles. The one pumping blood through your body without you having to think about it? That's your cardiac muscle. And the ones doing all the quiet work in the background, like moving food through your gut? Those are your smooth muscles. Now, onto skeletons. We don't all have the same type. Some animals have hydrostatic skeletons, using fluid pressure to move, like a water balloon morphing shape. Others, like insects, have exoskeletons, which are like wearing armor on the outside. And then there's us, with endoskeletons, the sturdy internal frame that supports our bodies. Our muscles attach to this frame and work in pairs. When one contracts, its partner relaxes, creating movement. Speaking of our endoskeleton, let's talk about the vertebral skeleton, the central column of bones that holds us up. This isn't just a stack of bones, it's a dynamic structure that protects our spinal cord and supports our head and body. Within this skeleton, we've got a trio of connective tissues: bones, ligaments, and cartilage. Bones give us the rigid structure, ligaments are like strong ropes holding the bones together, and cartilage is the cushion at the ends of bones that helps our joints move smoothly. But bones aren't static, they're being remodeled all the time. It's like your body is always under construction, with cells called osteoblasts and osteoclasts continuously building up and breaking down bone material. It's a balance that keeps our bones strong and ready for action. Now, if you've ever wondered where the largest motor units in our body are, think about the muscles that need to generate a lot of force, like those in the legs. And what about keeping bones strong? It's not about supplements, it's the stress from activities like running or jumping that keeps them tough. And let's not forget about injuries, like the dreaded ACL tear common in athletes. This ligament is key for knee stability, so when it snaps, it's like cutting a cable on that crane, the knee becomes unstable. For those marathon runners, their muscles are like long-distance truck engines, full of mitochondria to keep them going in elevated levels of ATP to delay fatigue. Unlike sprinters, whose muscles are like drag racers, built for short, explosive bursts but not for the long haul. So, the next time you sprint for a bus or stretch for a yoga pose, take a moment to appreciate the incredible duo of muscles and bones that make it all happen. It's a complex dance of biology that lets us move, shake, and groove through life. How cool is that?